Your real estate whisperer for Ascension Pair.
The scam has popped.
All my listings are in the Sunday paper.
Do you think this home is listed for?
Well, Ken, I think it's listed for Ascension.
I'm Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, providing you the best real estate tips with a dash of humor.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Real Estate Plate. As always, I'm your host, Nick Sakalis, coming to you live from the WGBB studios over here in lovely American New York. And it's definitely not a lovely day today. As everybody knows, it's local. The weather has been pretty dreary all day today, but you know what? It's pretty warm, so I'll take it. You know, I'll take the drizzle and I'll take the misty days with the warm weather, because I know what's coming ahead of us. So enjoy it while it's still here. I just wanted to really quickly bring up a couple things to everybody's attention. Oh, first of all, the number here is 516-623-1240. If anybody wanted to call in, again, the number is 516-623-1240. And now that I got that out of the way, just wanted to give a ton of credit and a big bravo to everybody that was organizing the pet adoption event this past weekend over at Coldwell Banker. It was hosted at our property over at 140 Jericho Turnpike. Really, from what I got so far, really great results. Ton of people came. Ton of people got to play with the dogs. A lot of puppies were there, and from what I got as far as the record right now, they have 8 people that have adopted dogs and a handful more that are possibly adopting them. So, a roaring success. Kudos to everybody that was involved. Fortunately, I wasn't able to be there yesterday, but my heart was with them. And everybody that remembered from last week's radio show, we had Kristina Smallhorn over, and she was quite a source of information. Everybody knows that she's hosting a really fantastic YouTube channel and really offering something that I think the public is in need of and has been needing. And as everybody knows, that I had asked her to call in today and dedicate most of the show to talking about everything that she's doing. So I'm going to take the call in just a second. And just a quick little side note. I know that everybody wanted the last week's episode to be posted, and I apologize. It's been an extraordinary past few days. We had a lot of business that came in, and it kind of set us behind. But I will be posting both that and this week's episode very shortly, both on our YouTube channel and all the other platforms that we're posting all the shows. So, you ready? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Kristina, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. I've had better days. If you could see her from my voice, I'm a little bit congested. So the weather's been shifting abnormally over here. I don't know how it is over there, but...
Well, we've actually had cooler weather, and most people probably don't know, but I'm in Louisiana, so for us to have temperatures in the 60s is like, hallelujah, we're very excited.
Yeah. Much,
like really,
very welcome, right?
We're always so hot.
Yeah, we've had these little crazy fluctuations in the past 2 days, like 20 degrees drops up and down. So you don't even know how to deal with the weather and how to dress anymore. So it's hot again today, but it's just weird. Typical New York weather.
Yeah, always in October. Yep. I don't know if you knew this either, but I used to live in New England, in Plymouth, and so October was always kind of one of those things. It's like, is it going to be hot or cold?
You don't know. It's one of those things you take a jacket with you, and by the end of the day, it's off. So
yeah, you're sweating. Yep, exactly.
But thank you again for calling in today. I know that there's a bunch of questions that I definitely know that the people want to have answered as far as what it is you do, and we briefly got into that last week. But I know that the major focus of what you've been doing right now, besides all the additional marketing through social media, has been YouTube. YouTube has been that focus and that vehicle that you've been using and running with. And a lot of things that people don't understand is that, there's a lot more to it than just posting a video and actually just saying I'm on YouTube. You actually have to get people to actually watch you. Right. And
I know that there's a lot of, you can go through YouTube, and I know that you have, but you start researching even local real estate agents in your area that you know that have YouTube channels. They probably have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos, and they maybe have 1 or 7 or 20, maybe 25 views, and they might have a couple that have more than that, but mostly they don't get a lot of traction on them. And there's a good reason for that. There's a person in our area that has been posting ever since the conception of YouTube, and he doesn't have any traction on it whatsoever. And it's because of the fact that, when you set up your YouTube channel, you have to do the correct kinds of channel tags to be found, because it's connected to Google. It's a Google search that people are doing. So when they're looking for homes for sale in your target area, if you don't have that as a channel tag, they're never going to find the videos that you put out. It's, you're just spinning your wheels. You're hoping that someone falls upon your channel. And, a lot of things that people do, is they make bad channel banners, and they splash all sorts of weird stuff on there that don't really, it's not in uniform with the platform itself. So you have to get to know the platform so that people that use it will work, will understand what your channel is about. Just like if you were on LinkedIn, you don't post the same kinds of things on LinkedIn like you would on Facebook. So you have to honor the platform for what it is.
No, it's a completely different dynamic altogether.
All together. So the people that, really like Facebook probably will never end up on YouTube, very rarely. The people that really love YouTube really are not Facebook users. So it's kind of like you're dealing with a whole different group of people. And even though that Facebook has 2 billion active users a day, what people don't realize is YouTube has 1.8 billion active users a day. So, just to not, just say, I don't really need YouTube, I have Facebook, it's kind of silly, because you're losing half the market, almost half.
It's a huge vehicle.
It's gaining more traction it's like more and more people are starting to use YouTube than you think. So, I happen to like it now because it isn't congested with a lot of people, especially in my market, since so many people are not using it and they have 1.8 billion active users. I'm trying to put all my effort into it, because that's that's the way I make business. That's how I'm getting found, and I'm not in the noise of Facebook. I'm right there on YouTube where no one else is.
Eventually, more and more people are going to actually get into it. It's going to get congested, like you said. It's going to get at one point, but I think you're one of the earlier adopters as far as relating real estate to it. And I think at the end, all the earlier adopters are going to actually do well with it. My personal mentality is this: I don't think any one vehicle works definitively to get things done, especially in real estate. Like, I don't think you could just sell a house through YouTube. I don't think you could sell it just through Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever the case is. But I think if you have a good balance and are able to use everything all together, and if you just excel in one of those platforms a little bit more than the others, I think you could really take off and really establish a brand and name. Because I think, along with the message that you're coming across with to the public with your YouTube videos, you're also establishing your brand as well.
Absolutely. I have sold homes through Facebook by marketing them with advertising on Facebook. That's definitely happened, especially when I've done like videos for them. I've had a couple videos that got shared and did very well and did get the houses sold quicker. It just didn't. After I think it was last year, October of last year, Facebook put me in, like, what they call in Facebook jail, and I don't know why. I guess it was overshared or something, where I couldn't share any of my videos on Facebook anymore, and that's when I turned to YouTube. And then I started doing these videos about preparing your home to sell, like the things that you want to do in advance before you actually put it on the market. And it really didn't click for me until I had this video. It's like a curse and a blessing. It was a curse because it taught me something, and it was a blessing because it made me subscribers. But I mean, the curse is the fact that YouTube thinks that I'm a cleaning channel, and I did the wrong channel tags, but it got me to understand what I needed to do for my channel. And the video is about how to remove the smell of dog pee out of carpet when you're selling your home. And that thing has over 81,000 views. But it taught me the fact that the reason why YouTube has confused me as a cleaning channel is because I had the incorrect channel tags to be found. And matter of fact, I even had the wrong country. It was like the country that you put in there. I just didn't know. I was just putting videos on there just like everybody else. I didn't realize that there was a section that you needed to fill out to make sure that you're being found correctly.
There's a science to it, just like anything else.
Yeah, so once I found that out, that made a big difference. And if you actually type in, after I figured this out, my videos started ranking in Google. And if you type in Ascension Parish Realtor or real estate agent in Ascension Parish, is the area I live, in the video section, I'm on 16 pages of Google. So, I know what I'm doing, and everybody can do it. It's so much easier to rank on Google with video than it is with in our field than it is with trying to do it with a website.
Well, how big is Ascension Parish? Enlighten the public with that, because I'm sure they're not familiar with the population.
So, yeah. So in Louisiana, instead of having counties, we have something called a parish. It's the same thing that we just, because of, the French, we just call it a parish. And
they have to be different, of course, right?
I like it, though. It's a little quirky. I love it. We have a little French law, which is a little different, too. Inheritance law becomes one of those things that always gives the people headaches if they're not from here. They're like, what now? I'm like, yeah, you may want to get a will. But that's why I picked that area. That's why I try to rank for Ascension Parish, because that's where I sell. It's, like I said, it's about 10 minutes from Baton Rouge, the city of Baton Rouge, 45 minutes from the city of New Orleans, and it's like an area with a lot of, really great public schools and lots of new construction, and it's building exponentially. So this is where I chose to raise my family and to sell property, single family.
So it's a booming area.
Yes, absolutely. It's grown so much in the last 10 years. It's a great area, and I'm glad that we moved here. The kids like it too. So,
what kind of population do you have in the area?
Oh, I wish I knew. Every time I write this down, I always forget.
I mean, are you in the hundreds of thousands? Couple of thousand?
I'll do a little Google search while we're on the phone here.
The only reason why I'm saying is because I'm trying to make a point for the audience is you took a sliver of an area and you basically made it your own. What happens a lot of times with a lot of people, they try to dominate an entire region. And it's like for me saying to the public, I'm dominating all of Long Island. And for me to turn around and say that to the public, it's very difficult. It's not. It's not a realistic thing to be able to every time somebody actually types in Long Island to actually pop up my name. There's just so much happening. Or if I decide to narrow it down, even if I say on the north shore, or if I go to the south shore, you want to get one very specific area and dominate that area. So every time you something is looked up, you're constantly popping up, and then you could expand from there and grow.
And the reason why I did that, it's 125,000 people as of 2016, and it's grown a lot since then. But the reason I picked the area and really tried to niche down in that specific area is the broker I worked for. I heard about it from word of mouth, and when I moved here, I said, if you were a person moving in, who would you use? A real estate agent. I kept asking people that were builders and people in the lending, and they kept saying the same person's name, and she kept coming up, and I'm like, that's the person I want to work for, because I want to be, when I'm that woman's age, I want to be the person they say, oh, have you called Kristina? So I wanted to know what she did to, basically, like, she doesn't have to do any advertising anymore. What made it tick for the people of Ascension Parish to only think of her when it came to real estate? And so I followed her around for 9 years. I wanted to know what it was. She just has that. She definitely has that thing. She owned a restaurant here beforehand, and then just people just got to know her and trust her and like her, And the best way for me to do that is to get people to know me, trust me, and like me is through video. So,
and that's it. Especially if you're a newcomer to an area, that's the way people are going to take note of you. And just before we continue, I just want to make sure that you let everybody know about that event that you're doing next week. I believe the October
23rd. The 23rd in Rochester, New York. It's the Technopalooza. I always say this wrong. Tech in the Know Palooza. I think I got that right. Yeah. And I'll be teaching 2 classes on YouTube. One of them is the look and the correct channel tags to get yourself found on Google search. That's one class. And then the second class is all about, I call it the 3 T's of success, and it's title, tags, and thumbnails. So I'll be having an in-depth class on that.
Is it still available?
It should be interesting.
Is there still available CD?
Yes, there is. You can buy book on. You'll just have to get a hold of the Rochester. I think you can just buy them at the door too. But you can also just call the Rochester.
I'm gonna post the flyer for the event as well, and then we could always add in the commentary additional information of how somebody could get involved with that, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't even know where to get started, and I think that's the perfect place to at least get the basics.
Right. Yes, and that's what this is the basics. So, like, the first class is literally if you've never had a YouTube channel or you've had a YouTube channel and you have no success, it's basically me walking you through, like, start to finish. I'm actually going to show you where the tab is to actually create a channel, and I'm walking you through the whole entire thing. And then the next class is I'm actually going to show you how to create a thumbnail, how to create a good title, and how I come up with my titles for my videos, and how to, tag it right so that those videos are found in search later on. But I want everybody to be clear about something, okay? And I think a lot of people get this confused especially when they see numbers, is that when you do a video and you put it on Facebook, a lot of people get the numbers confused because, like, I even have some that I think some of our videos have, like, over 60, 70,000 views. And they're like, oh, you have 60, 70,000 views on that listing video. But if you look at the back end of that, people watched it for about a minute, maybe a minute and 15 seconds. They didn't even watch the whole entire video, and some of those videos are about 4 minutes long. But on YouTube, I would much rather have 100 views on YouTube than the 60,000 that I had on Facebook. Because when people are searching for a video like that on YouTube, they have intent to purchase a home. They're looking for the answers to their questions. So they're more likely to call you because they already saw your video and they know what kind of personality you have because they are in the market to buy a home. People on Facebook are not searching for videos about real estate. They're looking at real estate videos, but that's not on the top of their mind. That's not what they're not intent in buying at that moment. And so I think that's the difference between the two platforms.
Well, I'll tell you something that I personally like that YouTube offers from a different point than what Facebook. When you actually pull your link and put it into Facebook or put it into LinkedIn or put it into Twitter, and people are scrolling down and it starts playing, you grab their attention right away. You don't have the same ability to do that with a YouTube stream. It's a lot more attention grabbing when you post the YouTube links, and they integrate it in such a perfect way that it helps. And what you just said about people streaming, viewing the actual video. Well, the thing I like about YouTube, it tells you. Well, if somebody looked at it through Facebook, they'll tell you it came in through Facebook, or if it came in through LinkedIn, it came through LinkedIn. You know, that's the part of it that I like a lot. There's a lot more control and a lot better understanding of where your views are coming from. And it gives you a better understanding of how to work them in a better way.
Right, and it's easier to embed those links into your blogs and everything else too. And you know, I don't know. I just think that when it comes to searching for information, especially when it comes to video, Facebook had dropped the ball on that. And when they came out with the Instagram Watch, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna go check this out," because you know it was a new platform. I was gonna jump on board, but again, it has no searchability. So if you're looking for an answer to your question, and you can't, there's no way to search for that information on Instagram Watch, and there's no way to search for that information on Facebook. So I would much rather stay with something that's going to answer people's questions. Just like, a library. If someone was to go into the library and look for the book on how to buy a house in Rochester, New York, then it would, then your video would land in their hands. That's the kind of content I'm making. And like somebody says, well, YouTube is a place for your evergreen content. Is the catchphrase that people use, meaning there's information that's good for years to come. It doesn't matter. Because, the basics of buying a home is always going to be the same. The basics of selling a home is always going to be the same. The way to prepare your home to sell is going to be the same. You're going to update those videos over time, but the content itself is pretty much evergreen. So you can always have those up and not worry about them getting stale and stagnant. I mean, you know as well as I do, you can find videos that are like 10 years old and people are still watching them. And, if you had a video that's 10 years old on Facebook, no one's ever going to watch that. I always say, like, Facebook's like a hot date when it comes to videos. For 3 days, everybody watches it, and then after that, you never get the call back.
Yeah, well, who's going to sit there and scroll down everybody's timelines to try to figure it out?
Nobody.
And there's just so much going on. There's so many users. There's so much new material coming out there that it becomes irrelevant.
There's a lot of noise, and the only thing that's on YouTube is videos. But I will say this, that, and I noticed this myself because I'm always checking out to see if there's somebody doing it better and how I can improve my channel in our niche. And I noticed that a lot of people that do have YouTube channels they don't respond to their comments. And even though that, you don't get a lot of interaction and everything, it's still a community. And if you have people that have actually taken the time to make a comment, negative, positive, or it's irrelevant. The algorithm likes when you answer them. And those people, if you do answer them, they can turn into clients. And I've had it happen several times this year where they weren't even from my area, but I was able to refer them out to another client, to another real estate agent in their area. So that way they were able to be taken care of. I just had somebody in, what was that place? It was Kalamazoo, Michigan. Kalamazoo, Michigan. He's having a heck of a time getting his house sold. And so I was able to talk to another real estate agent out there and got him connected. So that woman's going to list his house, and that's a referral for me. And that was from a YouTube video. Yeah. So.
But do you find that actually, here's the thing that a lot of people say, that whether you get negative or positive type of comments, it's all good.
It all kicks in. It doesn't matter.
So
it makes the algorithm happy. As long as you have continuous interaction on a video, the more interaction you have, the better the algorithm likes it. Negative or positive, doesn't matter.
So as long as you're getting those those touches, and as long as you're commenting on them, it's going to keep upping you up in the rankings.
Correct.
That's basically the formula.
Yep.
So it's
Absolutely.
the old thing that good all publicity is good publicity, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. But are you going to be live streaming the actual conference next week, or?
I didn't even think about that. I'm going by myself, and so I didn't have anybody to hold a camera, and I didn't want to bring my good camera because this is so funny. I was going to bring my good camera, but my dog ate my camera lens, the cover on it. So I have nothing to protect my camera lens, and I'm like, I don't want to travel with this good camera, an expensive camera lens. So all I have is my cell phone. I don't know. I'll think on that one. Because I do have one of those. I don't know if you've ever seen an Osmo. It's like it's a gimbal for your phone that will track you. You can actually it has a little tracker on it. So I don't know if it will hold a charge for a whole hour because the first class is an hour long.
That's the other thing to be able to have these things last for a long time. You know what I've done in the past. Sometimes when I want extended type of streaming or video taking, and I don't want to have a camera in place, I'll set up my laptop and just use the webcam. It's going to be a little bit more crude and doesn't typically work that well as a camera or even your cell phone, but you do get enough to be able to work with. I mean, what I've been using of late on the show itself, I've been all doing everything through the webcam on the Facebook live stream. So.
What kind of webcam do you have? Is it just the one that's built into your computer?
That's it. Just the one that comes in with the laptop.
Well, I'll tell you, webcams, believe it or not, are very reasonable. And Logitech makes one, and this is the kind that I would recommend for any real estate agent that's wanting to do live streams from their computer and just want to up their quality, is Logitech makes one that's called the C9-220.
That's the one I have as well.
And then the C9-222. Those are really good. The C22. Those are really good.
I love those.
High quality, really crystal clear. I use them for my live streams on YouTube. I do a little real estate trivia show on YouTube Live, and people come out from all over. I even have people from Japan that come and play the game. And that's the camera I use, and it's crystal clear. Crystal clear.
I'll tell you what, besides having a trivia game, you make it pretty entertaining. I mean, I've seen that you have the 80s one as well. You've taken a lot of different approaches on the place just to keep people engaged. I think it's a really different take. Honestly, I'm cut from the really conservative type of aspect of the business. I started, typical, you gotta be serious, that kind of, maybe it's because of the mentality that I do a lot of commercial as well and that kind of thing. But I've noticed that everybody's lightening up. Everybody wants a little bit of humor in the business aspect to it. And what you're doing is you're giving really good information out there to a lot of people, and you're making it in a way that's entertaining but not at the same time comical. I don't know if that makes sense what I'm saying. It's funny,
right? Well,
but it's not a joke.
Like if no one's ever watched one of my videos, what I do, and someone else named this, and I was like, oh, that's exactly what I do, and they called it infotainment. So basically, I have like a part that's kind of funny, like somebody, some over the top kind of personality that is like asking these questions or making comments about a home. and then you'll have me actually sitting there, and I'm like the voice of reason. So, and I play all the characters. Those are my Tuesday tip videos. And my whole thing is that, you know, I know that if you really think about it, if you're not in the market to buy a home, why would you watch a video like this? But if you are in the market of the home, you're getting great information, and you're getting a laugh out of it at the same time. I have people that watch my channel that have no intention of buying a home. They just think the videos are funny. And so, I have I gained a lot of subscribers just because of the videos themselves. But you had a big jump in subscribers, my friend. I saw that.
Well, honestly, I don't even know what's going on with my YouTube page. I think it's something's really quirky as far as the way my numbers have been jumping up and all over the place. There was a huge feed that came in, I guess, because I traced it down and I narrowed it down to some Facebook feeds, Twitter, and I believe Pinterest, and a lot of it is coming through there. There's also another thing called Reddit that I've been following. That a lot of the stuff there. So I guess people are posting my videos or sharing them, and we're getting a lot of attention coming in through there. So it's a weird thing. It's been about a week and a half that my channel has basically been off the charts as far as fluctuations. Mm-hmm. So it's weird. I don't know. There's another thing, we discussed this in the past as far as that Facebook's doing some kind of upgrades or some type of analytics that they're working with. So that's
right. And you know, and every once in a blue moon, you'll hear of a kind of like almost like a good mistake. You know, there was another little girl that my friends watched, and she had posted like 4 videos, and for some reason, one of the last of her 4 videos got pushed by the glitch in the algorithm stream, and with that video, she gained, like, in one day 1,000 subscribers, and then the next day she gained another 6,000 subscribers, and she was like, oh my gosh. So now, over a year later, because of that one video and then the glitch, she ended up getting 1 million subscribers. She has 1 million subscribers.
That's amazing.
It is amazing, and it's wonderful because, I mean, not that we're trying to make money by doing these videos, but it's still a nice plus. You know, it's always nice just to have a little something for your effort. So when you go on Facebook, for instance, you know, you put your video on there, and certainly Facebook's not going to pay you to put a video up there. But, you know, on YouTube, you give your little AdSense. They put a little commercial at the beginning that someone could skip or not skip, and, you know, you get your little $100 at the end of the month just because you put videos up there.
Are you actually at the point where you can monetize? Because not everybody can monetize at this point.
Yeah, I'm monetized. Yes, I am. Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to give a little bit of explanation of how that works to the listeners? Because I'm sure they don't understand what we mean by monetizing.
So, all right. So when you put up a video, there's like a little box. And you have to meet a threshold. The threshold is that you have to have at least 4,000 hours of watch time of your videos in 12 months, and you have to have at least 1,000 subscribers. You can't have one without the other. And if you have that, then YouTube will review your channel, and the review process takes about, you know, maybe like 2 to 3 weeks. Because they don't have a lot of real estate channels, I got reviewed in like lickety spit. I mean, it was like, I think it was 7 days, and I was already monetized. And then every quarter you get like a little check from them because they run an ad at the beginning of one of your videos or at the end of one of your videos. You choose to where you want to put the ad. So I'm like, I'm going to put the ad on there. I might as well get paid for it. And the other bonus to that, which was one of those things I didn't realize, is that I was running the live stream, and there's like a little cash button, and people like tip you for doing these, you know, live streams. They're like, oh, you know, love your channel, just showing you support, and I got like 20, you know, you get $20 here and $30 there, and you're like, are you kidding me? So, I mean, it's just one of those things that you know, they're part of the platform. It's one of those things that's nice. You'll never see that on Facebook. So I think it's just to kind of reward people that work hard to create great videos, and I work really hard to create really good videos.
You know what? The proof is in the pudding. You know, when you have people that are subscribing and they're actively watching and they're putting in the watch hours, it's a big deal. But just to point back on what you said with the 4,000 watch hours, that part of it is not as difficult as it is to get the subscribers. The subscribers, I think, is the real obstacle to get to that point and above. The watch hours,
and because of our niche, it depends on the niche. So if we were in a different kind of industry, it would be a lot easier. If you were like a tool, like a toy review channel, you're reviewing toys with your kids, you would have subscribers in months. It'd take nearly as long. But because we're in something that's very specific, it takes a while, and you have to put out a lot of content. I mean, I've been on the platform for 2 years. I didn't really get serious until about a year ago, but it does take time. A year ago to today, what is it, October 12th? October 12th was when I actually got serious about YouTube, and I had 100 subscribers. I put out a video thanking the 100 people that actually subscribed to my channel. And now I have almost 1,500 subscribers.
So happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, yep. So, I've always, every time I get a new one, I'm like, it makes me feel like, oh, good, I'm still doing a good job. People still want to see what I have to do. But the amount of subscribers does not account for how many views you're going to get. So, like, even though I have 1,500 subscribers, do I get 1,500 views on every single video? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No, it doesn't work that way. But those, like, let's say you get 200 views, 100 views. If they actually sit it down and watch that whole video, that's a big deal. If you have a half an hour video, that's a half an hour from each person that just viewed it. So that's what I was getting at as far as the view hours. It's important how long they actually sit and watch each video rather to how many people actually are watching. Like, you don't want people watching for 30 seconds and shutting off. So
right, and like they do on Facebook. And I'll tell you, like, if you're really wanting to get those 4,000 watch hours to be monetized, start live streaming. I mean, every Thursday night I get an average of 45 to 57 watch hours just for that 1 hour of a live stream, because every single person that participates and plays in the game will sit there for at least 30 to 45 minutes watching and playing the game.
Especially like that, because you're engaging with them, and you're getting them hooked in.
Right. So, I mean, if you can create a live stream that gets people involved, you'll gain those watch hours in no time. But most people just put a video up, and of course, you're only going to get 100 views, and it's going to take you a lot longer.
Oh, it's a beast. And the thing is, like you said, we're in a business where it's not the sexy type of channel to have. It's not the channel that everybody's like. It's not Fortnite, where all these kids are sitting and watching hundreds and hundreds of hours on. You have a guy like Grant Cardone. I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Grant Cardone?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy has made a real reputation for himself as far as really engaging and getting people to buy into his system and that kind of thing. And even he doesn't have 1 million subscribers. It's like one of these very difficult things to actually achieve. And this guy is like the modern day Wolf of Wall Street when it comes to real estate.
Right, but this is what I want to say to people. Like, if you're going into YouTube thinking you're going to create this viral video that's going to take off and you're going to get millions of views and blah, 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 just stop now. Nobody cares about your listing on 123 Elm Street. No, it's not going to go viral. Just stop. It's a place for information for what we do. If you're going to create content that's more entertaining, and you're going to, create these listing videos that are really have an entertainment factor to it, you're going to do a lot better. And that's why I think the channel that I created and the type of content that I created is really perfect for YouTube, because it does have an entertainment value to it.
And you already got copycats.
Yes, I do. I have a couple of people that copy me, which I think is fun. I love it. I think it's like, some people are like, oh, did you see that they did? I'm like, I don't care. I think it's awesome that, and I really do find it flattering that they thought enough of what I did that they wanted to make their own version of it. I have this one guy out of Seattle that actually, when I put my video out on Tuesday, on Thursday he creates the almost exact same content, but in his way, but it's the same title and everything.
But the other thing is, besides actually putting these concepts together and actually putting these videos in a really entertaining fashion, they're actually really well made. I mean, do you have any acting background, or is this all
No.
on the fly that you're doing?
No, I'm the youngest of 4, and so in order to get paid, like somebody to look at me, you had to do something crazy. And so my way of getting attention was to basically mimic anybody I saw. So within a few minutes of watching somebody, I could mimic mannerisms or their accent or whatever it was. I could just mimic them. So I channel all those characters and people that I've collected over the years in my mind from when I was a kid, and I put them in my videos. And that's, like I was saying earlier, that's the infotainment part of it. The funny part, I'm actually playing both parts. I'm playing the character of the little girl who's in the back seat that's kicking the real estate agent's seat of the car. That I'm actually the little girl in the outfit, and then I'm the obnoxious mom that's complaining about the size of the bathrooms, and half baths are not, they're like bathrooms that didn't grow up yet. I'm that woman too, and then I'm the professional real estate agent. So all 3 characters are me in one video. It's a lot of fun. Some people don't catch it though.
You definitely make a lot of fun. I mean, I was just watching a video of yours the other day. I don't remember when you posted it, but I was watching it, I want to say during the week, last week, that was on people's suspicion, what was it? Superstitions.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
you basically got into all these different superstitions. And honestly, I had never even heard of half of this stuff, but I'm sure a lot of it is part of your region. But I was so engaged by what you were saying that I just had to watch it and say, oh yeah, I've had this happen with somebody over and over. Like, there was so many things that caught people's attention. And it's not just like a top 10 list or like this is what you should do or shouldn't do. This is what people are thinking, kind of a thing. So it's a different approach, and you're kind of giving everybody almost a behind-the-scenes thoughts of what a seller is thinking, what a buyer is thinking. And I like that. We've seen a lot of top 10 lists, and there's nothing wrong with them, but this is kind of different.
They totally work.
Oh, they definitely work, but I like the fact that you gave something that's not necessarily just facts. These are what people think, and I like that because I've never seen it before.
I'm just trying to do something that you haven't seen before, so that way, that you'll stay where you're at. Like, oh, I haven't seen that before, and they just keep watching. I'm a creative person. I'm probably a better creative person than I am a business. I'm terrible at keeping myself organized in business, but I'm really good at being creative and making your business grow. So luckily for me, I have a husband that handles all the numbers part of it, so I can, so I can actually go and sell houses and do what I need to do, and then he handles the numbers part of it because I'm like, I don't know anything about the taxes. You do that. But I'm good at coming up with different ways to get my name out there because, I mean, if I did the traditional way, it would take me forever. I don't have a last name that people recognize here, and I just try to do something.
Although you do have a very rememberable last name, though. There's not a lot of people with your last name, so.
I did a video over a year ago on a person that I was showing a house to, which was, of course, played by me, that they couldn't get my last name correct. And this happens all the time because my last name is Smallhorn. And I've had people call me Tiny Horn, Peppercorn, Longhorn, all these things. And I thought it was kind of funny. And somebody suggested, why don't you make a video about somebody that can never get your name right? And I'm like, oh, that's really good. That was really clever. And then I ended up winning a video award with my company because of that video. It wasn't even one of my favorites, but they liked it enough that I got an award.
Hey, well, sometimes you don't know what's gonna get people's attention. Sometimes you put something out there that you think is like, it's okay, but all of a sudden people take attention to it, and you never know what the public is gonna react to. You know, good, bad, or anything in between. Sometimes you get a really completely off the charts reaction to something that you didn't think was even going to be something of note. I'll give you an example. Last year, when I first started the show, I'm actually closing into our anniversary in about 2 weeks for our 1 year of doing this show. And I started off our first episode by talking about scary real estate situations. Obviously, it was Halloween time, and
Right.
you know, like things. You know, it could be a haunted house. It could be just a horrible transaction. It could be the seller from hell. It could be anything. And that alone, all the stuff that I was getting from everybody was such a great reaction. I didn't think it was. I just thought of it as like, all right, it's a gimmick just to get people to like listen and that kind of thing, or at least give them something interesting for the first show. And I had a great reaction. I'm actually going to do our second annual in 2 weeks on the 29th of October. So if you have any scary real estate situations, save it for that day, because I'm going to actually send it out through social media for people to send pictures and videos and stories as far as their scary real estate experiences. And if I have enough video material and picture material, I'll put together a little video and or slideshow to show everybody what everybody else is talking about. So
I can't say have had anything that was super scary. The only thing I've ever had was like I had one person that really run me through the ringer that I was like, maybe I'm in the wrong profession. There's, like that's when I made the no more jerk policy. If someone was just this downright, no matter what I said, I was wrong kind of person. No matter what the check was, it wasn't worth it. I made that policy, no more jerk policy.
I think we all have those almost on a daily basis that give calls to us. So that's a normal thing. I'm talking about something so crazy. Like I've had a situation where I was at a closing table and it was a divorce situation, and the wife jumped right over the table to attack her ex-husband or going to be ex-husband while we were trying to do a closing. Stuff like that. That's pretty bad. You have attorneys trying to hold everybody apart. I mean, it's comical. Or like you have a house that everybody doesn't want to buy because there's supposedly a ghost in it because somebody died years ago in there and it's been untouchable. Things like that happen all the time. And so I love those stories.
I had a real estate agent yell at me at a closing table and ask me to step outside. And I'm like, people don't know, but I'm only like right up just a hair over 5 foot. And this woman was like maybe 6'2", and I'm like, and I looked at the attorney and I looked at her. I'm like, you're kidding, right? She's screaming at me because she did something wrong, and she was blaming me. And then she wanted me to step outside. I'm like, this is professional.
Oh, you mean step outside to actually fight or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant.
Yeah, and then the attorney says, "Why don't you ladies take this outside?" I'm like, "Not unless you call the police." I'm like,
that I've never had. But
I've had that happen.
But usually I'm one of the anomalies. In the real estate business, it's a women-dominated business unless you're going from the commercial end. The commercial end, it's male-dominated. The residential end, it's really female-dominated. So on the residential end, because I'm kind of hybrid, I kind of do a cross between the two. It's usually a woman on the other side, so I don't really have women really that forceful to attack me or anything like that. But I could see between. It was a woman or a man that was telling you this.
Oh, it was a woman. Yeah, she was like 6'2". And I'm like 5'1", and I was like, this is like, I just remember going, I called my broker during this, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? She's like, just stay there, hon. You just stay right there and don't move. I'm on my way.
Wow, this person was no nonsense, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Well, she what happened was that she said that she had dropped off the deposit check, and she hadn't dropped off the deposit check, and so I said, well, bring it to closing, and it wasn't a deposit check, it was a money order that was made out to Miss Donna, so which was my broker at the time. So she was like, well, this isn't going to work for closing. We can't close it without that. So I actually had to go to my broker. My broker brought in a check, and it was one of those things that was just, it should have never happened. And I was trying to be nice, and I should have not been. And then instead of taking responsibility, she blamed it on me.
Of course. Why
she
take
didn't want to put that in front of her
responsibility?
client, and I called her out on it, and she didn't like that, so she was ready to fight me.
So how does it work from your area? Do you actually close escrow, or do you have an attorney close escrow for you?
We have is a title attorney. The title attorney closes everything.
Okay, so
That's it.
the attorney holds escrow when they get the deposits?
Yeah, well, it depends on the broker. So the brokers can hold the deposit checks. The deposit checks are pretty minimal here. They're like for, let's just say, a $350,000 property, maybe $1,500, and the broker holds that in a non-interest bearing account.
So that's almost like a good faith.
Excuse me?
It's almost like a good faith deposit.
It's exactly what it's called. It's a good faith earnest money deposit. That's it. And then they get, of course, the buyer gets it back at closing, towards their closing costs or whatever they want it for. The lender decides. But the brokerage I work for, we don't hold deposit checks, so we have the title attorney that the buyers choose to hold the deposit check. That way, we're just not responsible for them and having that non-interest bearing account.
But the brokers have the option to have their own accounts for escrows over there, right?
Correct. Yep.
See, that's the thing that's really different over here.
Just give it to the title company. I'd much rather them have it.
That's the thing that's really different over here. We don't have that option. The attorney handles that all over here.
Right.
They kind of take that completely out of our hands.
Yeah, in one of the states, a girl was talking to said that once the real estate agents have found the properties, then everything is from that point forward is handled by the attorneys until closing day. Like you don't look at anything until afterwards. I'm like, really? And they were like, yeah, and the two attorneys meet with one another and then they close the transaction. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like it's just different places, and that's why it's really good to get a local real estate agent in your area. And not all real estate's the same. And even if you have your real estate license in another state and you know the basics of it, you still are going to need a real estate agent to represent you in that state, so you understand their laws and you can understand how things work. It's just every market is completely different, and I think if you go into that with trying to save a few bucks, I think you're missing the boat. Always have a real estate agent represent you.
It's day and night, and honestly, the New York metro area going to Long Island is so different from almost the entire country. It's become basically attorney state when it comes to these kind of transactions, and a lot of our duties have been taken away by having attorneys do them, but at the same time, we never let it go and let the attorneys handle it from that point, because what happens a lot of times is, they say, we don't need you from this point forward, but yet you're getting the calls almost every day tell you we need to do the walkthroughs, we need to do the appraisals, you're still doing everything anyway. All you're doing is reporting back to the attorney and telling them, here's the report, and all they do is actually put the lease, the contracts together and make sure everything is signed properly at the end. So
right, yeah, it's just different, just a little bit different everywhere.
Yeah, it's very, very different. Honestly, I'd love to, at one point in my life, do a tour just to shadow other brokers in other states, just to see how they work. Almost like a day in California, a day in Louisiana, a day in Massachusetts, just to see how everybody works differently in the country, because it's so different. It really is. I think that's something that has never been touched.
One of the videos I'm thinking about doing is about dual agency. And dual agency is not the same in every state. And what the word dual agency means is not the same in every state. And some states don't allow it. They say it's flat out illegal. And some will allow for designated agents, meaning that both agents can, they can work for the same company that represent both sides. But some states don't even allow that. So if you have a buyer that's with the same, let's just say, ABC real estate agency, and then the seller is with ABC real estate agent, the buyer's going to have to find another real estate agent. They can't use that same agency. Isn't that crazy?
I just personally feel that dual agency, there's too much of a conflict of interest. I'm looking at it like this. If you're a listing agent and people are coming to purchase your place, you can't be a dual agent. These people are coming as customers to a place, and you're doing the best you can to get the highest price for that seller with the best terms. By doing so, how are you looking at the best interest of the buyer? And if they have the false impression that you're representing them as well, it's a problem. That's right. The way I look at it. And vice versa. You take a potential buyer into one of your listings that they called you on, even though you were showing them other places. Again, there's a conflict of interest. The only time I could see a fair dual agency happening is if there's some kind of meeting of minds on an investment property or something to that effect, where it's not as it's all about the numbers.
I've done dual agency twice. I've done it twice, and I'll tell you why I did it. The first time I did it, I actually had been working with the buyers for quite some time, and I was about to get this listing. I already know what the seller wanted to sell her house for, and they were like, "We're never going to find a house. We're never going to find a house." And I just said, "I have a listing that's supposed to come up in a month. I think you might like this one." And we all sat at the table together, and we all negotiated the price together. And basically, I was a facilitator of paperwork, and they were in communication with one another. I did a small reduction in commission to the seller, since we were all working together, and there was no gray area, and everybody was really happy at the end. So I don't know.
But that's completely transparent, though. I mean, you sat down at the table with both sides simultaneously. Mm-hmm. That kind of opens up to transparency. But if you're fielding calls between the two parties, there's always going to be a sense of distrust, I guess, or I just firmly feel that I can't do the right. I'm more of a listing agent type of mentality,
right?
And I'm always looking to get the best I can for the homeowner or the seller or the developer, or whatever the case is.
It's human nature.
How am I going to do the best thing? Unless it's a friend of mine, a cousin of mine, a client of mine that's coming to me directly and say, "Help me out," and I'm going out purposely to help them find a good situation. Anybody that comes into me through either the office or through one of my listings or an up call or whatever the case is, and they're coming to look at one of my listings, I'm immediately going to be helping out the seller as much as I can. Obviously, I'm not looking to hurt anybody, but at the same time, that's what I was hired for. I'm hired to get them the best deal.
So dual agency is legal in New York?
It is.
So what do you do if someone does call you? Do you just give it to somebody else in your office so they can handle it, so you can barely represent the seller and get them as much money as possible?
Well, I take it from two approaches. One, if they're coming to me as a customer, let's say they come from an open house or they're calling up from a sign or something like that, I'll take them in as a customer. And they're not a client of mine, and I'm not representing them. And then when I have them sign a disclosure, I'll basically tell them I represent the seller right on the disclosure. That way there's no understanding that I'm representing them or anything in that fashion. And if it's clear from the beginning, then they can't say anything as far as, well, I didn't understand that. That's the first thing I do. And if they say, no, I want somebody to represent me, then I'll sign it to somebody else. I won't take it on. I have a team.
Yeah,
so
I generally just give it to somebody else in my
people.
office. If someone was to come in from an open house, then they're like, I really like this house. I want to go ahead and put an offer in on it. I'm like, that's when I tell them I represent the seller, and so let me get somebody from my office, because I don't know them from Adam. But like in that other situation where I did do dual agency, it's because I had been working with those buyers for a long period of time.
It's a different story.
It was a totally different story. And every situation is different. And I know that, I don't know if you know who Bill Gassett is, but he does a fantastic blog, and he's written a lot about dual agency and how he feels about it. And he thinks a lot like you do, Nick. He says that he doesn't believe it's fair, and that it can't be done fairly. He doesn't care what the argument is. So the video I was doing is basically saying I'm giving you both sides of the argument. I'm not saying if it's right or wrong. I'm giving you the information, what people say, if they feel like, and I'm letting the public make their own decision. If you think dual agency is fair, what is your opinion about it? It's not me saying it is or isn't. I want to know what the public thinks. What is their impression of dual agency? Because I really want to know. I want to know how they feel about it.
Kristina, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm getting the knock on the window, and it looks like
okay.
We actually talked our way through all the way to the end of the show without taking a pause.
I can talk forever.
So I'm going to ask you really quickly, tell everybody again about next week. And
yes, so the October 23rd in Rochester, New York, it's the Tech in the Know Palooza. I'll be teaching 2 classes about YouTube. Come out and see me. It's all in the afternoon, my 2 classes, and I look forward to meeting all of you. Thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kristina, and I'll talk to you soon. And thank you, everybody, for listening. It's been a great show. Have a great night. Have a great week, and we'll be again together this time next Monday.